The big three signs of an opioid overdose, such as one from fentanyl, are slow to no breathing, unconsciousness, and pinpoint pupils. How you can check for those three? For slow to no breathing, you're gonna place your hand on the person's chest to feel for the rise and fall of their breath. You can also place your hand under their nose or over their mouth and feel for their warm breath. To check for unconsciousness, you're gonna start by shouting the person's name and asking if they can hear you. If they don't respond to you verbally engaging with them, you're gonna cause some painful stimuli. To do that, you're going to give them what's called a trap pinch. You're going to pinch the corner between their neck and their shoulder as hard as you can. If you try that on yourself, it hurts. So if you do that to somebody who might be overdosing, they're not going to respond. The third sign that you're going to check for, which is the telltale sign of an opioid overdose, is pinpoint pupils. So how you're going to check for that, you can use a flashlight like the one on your smartphone. The person's probably going to be unconscious, so you're going to lift their eyelid and shine the flashlight into their eye for 3 to 5 seconds. When you move the flashlight away, normal people, you will see their pupil get bigger when the light is no longer in their eye. Someone with a fentanyl overdose, their pupil is going to remain pinpoint, very tiny in the middle of their eye.
It is absolutely critical that you call 911 when somebody is overdosed, because that makes sure that they get the medical attention they need, and that could very much save their life. Many states have what's called a Good Samaritan law, which protects people who call 911 when they're in the possession of drugs from being arrested for having those drugs in the moment, because these laws are meant to encourage people to do the right thing when someone's overdosing.
Narcan is an opioid blocker. It's going to go into the bloodstream and knock any opioid off of the receptor. And it's going to reverse that overdose so that that person has a chance at life. We're using the term Narcan, which is a brand name. The actual generic is naloxone, and there are many brands. The side effects of intranasal naloxone or Narcan, if somebody was not actually overdosing, the chance of having a serious health problem as a result are very small.
This is what Narcan looks like. If you're ever in a situation where you're going to administer Narcan, you should have already called 911. To administer Narcan itself, all you have to do is take it out of the package. It looks like this. You're going to insert the plunger into the person's nose, either nostril, and then press the pink button down. After that, you're going to want to clock about 2 minutes. The person should respond to the Narcan within those 2 minutes. If they're unconscious and not breathing, you will literally see them go and begin breathing again. If that doesn't happen within the first 2 minutes, continue doing that every 2 minutes until the person responds. If they don't respond after 3 doses, you're going to want to start giving rescue breaths.
One more thing to remember about Narcan is that anytime it's given, a person needs to go to the hospital. Opioids can last longer than Narcan. So the Narcan might reverse the overdose initially, and then the Narcan wears off, and guess what's still in your bloodstream? The opioid. Can find those receptors and they can re-OD.
Narcan and naloxone in general is now approved over the counter. Everyone should be trained in how to recognize and respond to an overdose.
If you're a person who needs opioids and you have a dependence on them, it's very useful to use a fentanyl test strip to determine if there's fentanyl or one of its analogs in the substance you're about to take. If you are in your 20s, 30s, and 40s and you're getting some cocaine, you should know that cocaine has been contaminated and the frequency of contamination is rising.
Fentanyl test strips can be used on any drug as long as you prepare that drug correctly. So we instruct users to crush whatever it is in its entirety, mix that up, and then you use about 50 milligrams of that powder.
There is a risk of getting a false negative. The test may not pick up the particular analog. The dilution rate might not be right, so it's not foolproof. Because the problem is inconsistent dosing, you can't shave some of a pill and use that as your sample and not be 100% sure that there's not fentanyl in the other portion of the pill. And you certainly can't test one pill from a baggie, have it come back negative, and be confident that the rest of the baggie does not contain fentanyl. The main takeaway from that message is, if anyone presents a pill to you and says, "Don't worry, this has been tested," that is not a true statement. And you cannot trust any pill that you get on the street.
While the expectation is that you don't take any pill or powder that's coming from an unregulated source, but if you did, it is a non-negotiable to carry Narcan with you. It is a non-negotiable to not use alone, and it is a non-negotiable to test your drugs. These are the steps you have to take. While it's not perfect, it's the bare minimum to keep yourself alive.